Hey, and welcome back to episode 3, A Low Plateau to a Higher Perspective. Thanks again for joining me, and today I want to deep dive a little bit more into my journey. And I really want to discuss the very dark time of my life that happened just a couple years ago in 2015, and how I found my way out of that dark place into a time of my life where I now have more balance, peace, happiness, joy, clarity, focus, where I now am on the path to pursuing my potential. And I hope that through my journey and the lessons that I've learned, that you will also gain some clarity into maybe where your journey needs to go next. So normally I'm a very happy person. Most people would probably tell me that I'm outgoing, I'm happy, I can almost always put a smile on my face, and I got really good at that. I think it just naturally comes to me, and so that was a kind of a blessing in my practice, because I also attracted patients that were also very happy and optimistic as well. So I'm very happy. Everything just in my life used to almost go so smoothly. So before 2015, I would say that I was just lucky. Like, I manifested all these amazing things to happen, and all these perfect doors would open at just the right time. And I was blessed. And I never had a moment in my life that was hard to manage. I kind of was always just walking around high on life because I was blessed and everything really was going well for me. And then some things happened and some things shifted, and I found myself in a very dark and depressing place. And at the time, I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to go to work. I thought of ways that I could find a way to sell my practice or close the doors to my practice and maybe just go get a teaching position at the local chiropractic college. And I was really just trying to find my way out of this hole that I felt like I had dug for myself. I had some things going on personally and professionally that I really wanted to get myself out of. I had an associate in my practice, and I really just was spinning the wheels. I was on that hamster wheel, chasing shiny objects, and nothing was bringing me joy or fulfillment or passion. And I really missed that. I craved that in my life, and it seemed like everything that I tried to do pushed me further and further away from fulfillment and joy. And so 2015 was it was the hardest year. I felt like running away from my marriage. I felt like running away from my responsibilities. I literally wanted to find a one-way ticket to a deserted island and find a way to afford to stay there and never turn back. I could relate myself to Elizabeth Gilbert in the movie that Julia Roberts plays, Eat, Pray, Love, how she was at this crossroads in her life. She felt absolutely no passion for what she did anymore as a writer, and she was married and didn't know why she got married and wanted to run away and spend a year traveling the world. She went to Italy, and she went to Bali, and she went to India. She stayed at a meditation retreat. And so when I watched that movie, looking back, I was like, wow, that was me in 2015. But the reality was that I could not run away from all of my responsibilities. I had to find a way to make it work and find a way to create the life that I wanted with all of the resources that I already had. One, we didn't have a lot of money. In 2015 is when my husband started going to pursue his degree in becoming a chiropractor as well. So I was solely feeding our family, my 2 stepkids. They're now 17 and 14. So at the time they were 15 and 12. And so I was a stepmom. I was solely feeding the family, the only breadwinner. My husband was at school all day, and I was miserable in my practice. And here he was wanting to become a chiropractor, and here I was being a really horrible role model for him because I didn't want to be a chiropractor anymore. Well, at least I didn't want to be in this practice and role and responsibilities that I had created for myself. And I'm going to explain why and why that's important for you to listen today. So looking back at how I got there, how I got to that place where I could not recognize myself. I did not know at 31 years old, I did not know what it meant or what it looked like or what it felt like to be authentic. And that was really, really hard for me because 2 years ago, that was like the craze word. Like everybody wanted to be authentic and, authentic branding and authentic this and authentic that and find your authenticity. And I had no idea what that was. And here's why. For 31 years, or as long as I could remember, I spent my life pleasing everybody else. I spent my life being the person, doing the things, and having the things that I thought everybody else wanted me to have, what I thought I should be doing. And this crippled me. I became a prisoner in my own mind, in my own self-esteem. I was constantly worried about what people would think of me or how they would judge me or what they would say if I didn't do this right. And at the time in my chiropractic practice, I had a practice management coach who was wonderful and helped me really grow my practice and learn more about communicating with patients. So there were many, many great things that this coach gave to me or helped me learn. But I had the same coach for 4 years. And what I found myself doing was trying to run my practice as if I was him. I had him in my mind saying, do this, do that, do this. Oh, if only he was here, then he would do it this way. So I felt like I had to be him. And I felt like I needed to have a practice that was acceptable to the other chiropractic gurus in the profession. I thought that I needed to prove something to the other chiropractors in my profession. I thought I had to prove something to my patients, to my husband, to my colleagues. My whole life up until that point was all about achieving this ideal practice that really wasn't realistic and it wasn't me. And finally, when I realized that I need to let go of what other people are expecting of me and just do my own thing, that's when I started to turn my life around. That's when I started to find fulfillment. And they were, like at the beginning, there were these small like nuggets of fulfillment that I would just grasp onto and go, oh my gosh, like finally it feels so good to have this or to let go of that. Like it was these, I wouldn't say fleeting because they lasted, but it was like a breath of fresh air. I didn't know I had lost that sense of fulfillment. I mentioned in the last podcast that I finally opened my dream office. And that was in 2012. And that was very, very fulfilling because it was my dream come true. But then from 2012 to 2015, I stopped making dreams. I stopped making goals. I stopped making crap happen. I was just on that hamster wheel, and I wasn't getting anywhere. And it was like year after year after year, it just became more dreary and dim looking is my future and my practice and what I had created. And it just wasn't where I wanted to be. And so when I realized that, oh my gosh, I've been living my entire life for everybody else. How the heck am I going to change that? How the heck am I going to turn that around? How am I going to relearn how to live my life for me? And so I spent a lot of time, a lot of money on counseling and self-help books and meditation retreats and massages and all of these different things I was investing in hopes that they would help me become the better version of myself that I needed to be. And so all of those things helped slightly, but it wasn't until I got really deep down inside and I just started like peeling back the layers. Like if I was an onion and my soul was the center, I was peeling back layer after layer after layer to try to uncover who I really was and who I really wanted to be. And I knew that, and the deeper I got, I knew that those answers were within, and I started uncovering them and I started finding them. And that's why I'm sharing this with you, is because I want to remind you that wherever you are in your life and wherever you want to and whoever you want to become, those dreams and those inspirations and even the know-how is already buried within you. You just have to uncover it. You have to also do the work, and you have to peel back the layers, and you have to get really deep within to start uncovering some of your truths. I want to do an exercise with you really, really quick. And this exercise was really, what's the word? Monumental in helping me discover kind of my next steps, because I've just been like one step after the other and just putting one foot in front of the other. And now 2 years later, after my the worst of the worst, my call it my low plateau, I was still up high. I still was a chiropractor. I still had all these things to be blessed for, but I was stuck at this plateau, and I had been stuck for years. And so it was really dark and depressing. And now I have a higher perspective because I've watched myself grow and shed those layers that no longer serve me. But this exercise was really monumental in helping me just go from one step to the next step to the next step, because really we just have to start taking those steps. It's those baby steps that we need to take to get closer and closer. But if we're not moving, if we're stuck in fear, or we're stuck in this like paralyzing, maybe the paralyzing hamster wheel, if that makes sense. Like we're spinning our wheels, but we're not getting anywhere. We're really paralyzed. We're not accomplishing what we really need to be. So that's not a place to be. And I feel like I was there for many years. That was my low plateau. But now I'm moving forward, and that forward momentum, how slow or painful or how difficult it might seem at times, I'm still catapulting myself forward, and it feels awesome. And I want you to feel that same sense of fulfillment that you can get to for moving forward. So I'm going to give you an exercise, and this is a wonderful tip that you can do on a daily basis. You can do it with any type of decision that you have to make, or when you're at a crossroads. So decisions determine our destiny, and Tony Robbins talks about that all the time, as how we're just one decision away from reaching our destiny. And so this exercise is a breathing exercise, and it works like this. Your body knows your truth, and when you think about your truth, you're going to have a somatic response. Your body will give you a response to tell you if that's your truth or not. When you think of a thought, So think of a thought that is true, and the easiest one is to just think of your name. So I want you to think of your name for a moment. Wait. Let's go backwards a second, and I want you to think of someone else's name first. Let's use Sally, for example. We're going to use Sally's name. And if your name is Sally, then you're going to have to think of a different name. But for example, we're going to think of Sally's name, and we're going to take a deep breath in and let it all the way out. And we're going to try to get our belly in, fill it up in our lungs and all the way down to our belly. We're going to try to take a nice, deep, satisfying breath by thinking of a thought that is not our truth. We're going to think of the fact that our name is Sally. So I'm going to think of that. My name is Sally. Take a deep breath in, all the way out. And I want you to pay attention to that quality of breath. So do it one more time. My name is Sally. Okay. Now can you pay attention to how that felt? Now I want you to do that exercise again by thinking of a true statement, which is your name. So in my case, I will say, my name is Jenna. Take a deep breath in, let it all the way out, and pay attention to my breath. So, and do it again. Pay attention to how that feels. My name is Jenna. Now, I want you to think of how those two scenarios felt. When you thought of the untrue statement, so Sally's name, and when you thought of your name, which is the true statement. And if you need to do this again, if you need to pause this video or audio to do this exercise again, I invite you to do that. What you will notice when you breathe in someone else's truth or something that is false to your body is that it creates tension in your body. Versus when you are thinking of the truth and you breathe in and let it all the way out, it's actually more easy to do that. You have more ease throughout your body. Your breath can go further and deeper when you're thinking of your truth. So this is important because your body knows your truth. And so when you're stuck at a crossroads and you need to make a decision, do I take this job or this job? Do I go down this path or this path? And you have all of those mixed emotions of the good and the bad, and you've made your list of pros and cons, and you just don't know what to do next. I want you to think of this breathing exercise, and I want you to imagine what that path would look like down option A and what that path would look like down option B. And test your breathing. Your breathing is a litmus test, a test to figure out which way your body has more ease to. So then you can get out of your mind and out of those, those thoughts that we have that sometimes cripple us in just the thought process. And you can actually start to make concrete steps in moving forward by figuring out which path to take, because your body knows the truth and your body will feel easier or at more ease when you're thinking of that true scenario that your body truly craves and desires, with putting your chitter chatter and your fear-based thoughts behind you and only thinking of really what your body really truly wants. So take that, my free tip of the day. So I want to get back into how I took those tools and moving forward. So in 2015, I almost lost everything, and I really couldn't get out of bed. I didn't want to go to work. When I came home, I was miserable. And what I did next was really basically, I remember waking up one Sunday and just having this conversation with myself that, Jenna, this is not who you are. This is not the life you're meant to live. You've been having your pity party for several months now, and you need to freaking get over it. You need to get over yourself, and you need to make the decision right now today that you're putting this behind you and you're going to make action. You're going to create action to start making your dream life come true. So I've been on this journey for 2 years now, from the day I decided that I was no longer going to live that way. So it was truly great that I finally got out of that hole. But I want to say it took work. It took a lot of work. It took dedication. It took daily conversations with myself to say, I can do this. If they can do it, I can do it. It took daily conversations with myself to really uncover what my true self wanted. And I want to encourage you to maybe journal or start asking yourself the right questions to help you uncover what it is that your purpose on this planet is, or what it is that your next steps are going to look like. So in 2016 was the year where I picked up the pieces. I made sense of what happened in 2015. I started taking actionable steps in creating a life that had more peace and more prosperity and more happiness and abundance and balance. 2016 was when I started finally being happy again, because I had not been happy in so long and it felt so good. And the things that I did was really just give myself permission to be me. I gave myself permission to do those scary things. I gave myself permission to do something different. I gave myself permission to let go of what I thought everybody wanted out of me and to finally do the things that I wanted to do for myself. And this was really scary at first. For you listeners, I have something attached in the show notes for this episode where you can actually download something that I used in my own life. And they are the 31 habits to creating more clarity and peace in your own life. And these were the habits that I started instilling in my daily routine, in my mental thoughts, my actions that I took during the day, where I really created more peace and clarity in getting rid of all that old crap that no longer served me and started to open up the possibilities of the life of my dreams and pursuing my potential. So I have that PDF for you in the show notes. You can go to pathofpursuing.com/003 to access that free downloadable PDF for you to use. I encourage you to hang it up on your mirror or your bathroom, somewhere where you can see it every single day and start taking action to creating the life of balance and peace and clarity for you as well, just like I did. So again, I mentioned that 2016 was that life where I picked up the pieces, the year that I picked up the pieces. And 2017 has been amazing. January of 2017, when you typically make your I'm having a loss of words. What's the word? You make your goals for the year. I'm having a blank. My only goal that I set for myself was to be bold. That 2017 was going to be the year that I was bold. And I would have to say that I'm finally feeling like I can step up and I can speak up and I can be who I want to be. And very little do I think about how are people going to think of me if I do this. I'm now more confident in who I was. And I want to say, if 2 years ago you asked me if I would be in this place, I probably wouldn't have been able to say yes, that I would be at a place where I didn't care what people thought of me. That thought was crippling, and it it basically guided my entire life. I mean, I didn't even want to go to the grocery store without makeup on because I was so worried about running into my patients and what they would think of me if they saw me in yoga clothes or without any makeup or a hat on. Like, I felt like I had to have this constant persona of being a chiropractor and having my stuff together and not showing anybody who I really was, but I just wanted to have this like mask on of what this perfect image looked like. And I want to remind you that the path of pursuing your potential is not the same as pursuing your perfection. And that's what I did for so long. I pursued my perfection. I pursued perfection, and I was constantly falling short. And so pursuing your potential is so different. It's a letting go of perfection. It's letting go of what people think of you. It's letting go of this quota that we put on ourselves or these expectations that we put on ourselves to be this certain person, when you can just let go of those and you can just start to ask yourself the right questions and be who you really truly want to be. And one exercise that really helped me in becoming who I really want to be is looking back at who I was when I was a kid, before the world started affecting me, before the world started molding me into being who I thought I should be. I looked back to when I was a kid, when I was pure and innocent, and nothing in the world scared me or kept me from doing what I wanted to do. And so who I was as a child was, I was happy. I wanted to be influencing people. Even as a kid, I wanted to be organizing things. I wanted to be leading a movement, even when I was a kid. So I want to ask you, who were you when you were a child? Who were you when you were just young and innocent and pure and happy and on top of the world because nothing affected you? You weren't jaded yet. You weren't calloused yet. You were not molded into what your mother, father, teacher, preacher, society, your friends, your colleagues, you were not molded yet into who they wanted you to be. You were just you. What did that look like? And so if I could give you one tip today to start pursuing your potential, start going back to that child, because that child is buried within you. And all of those same needs that that child had, and all of those desires that that child had, you still have somewhere buried in you. And I want you to start to pull back those layers and uncovering that child within and pursue your potential of who you can be without fear, without doubt, without worry, without self-esteem issues. You can too pursue your potential. And I want this year to be the year that you are bold. So I'm going to leave you with that. I am always here serving, and I'm always here pursuing my potential so that I can better serve you. So thanks for listening, and we will see you tomorrow.